financial report for the Museum Board. We've just been doing the Adelaide Festival.
I understand that. There's a reference to a separate report, is there, for just to...
It forms part of the document.
Okay.
It's directly linkable online for those following.
Yeah.
So let's start at page 7, perhaps. And it talks about, this is the general income line. So can the Minister advise, it appears from page 7, this disaggregates the income for the Museum Board as opposed to the Foundation, and it highlights that there is a drop in income for the Museum Board from 2023 of $17.667 million to 2024, where it's $15.655 million. There's a $1 million drop in grant income, for example, and some drops in donations and intra-government transfers. Is the Minister able to provide any advice to the House as to the nature of this $2.1 million drop in income for the Board?
The major variance in the grant based on their financial report is what's referred to as a Commonwealth Source grant, which was $277,000 in 2024, but $1.128 million in 2023. And I can inform you that the Commonwealth Government provided funding for the purposes of the Science Engagement Program, Inspiring South Australia National Science Week, Bush Blitz National Parks, Indigenous Repatriation Program through the Department of Infrastructure, Transport and Regional Communities, and taxonomy and systematic grants, the Australian Biological Resources Study. And so there was a change in one or more of those. I can get the details for you of what that drop was, but that was the major drop, was actually a Commonwealth grant that decreased.
In relation to, and that was a drop of about $900,000 the Minister's just described, but the overall drop in income for the Board is $2.1 million. So I'm keen if she has insight into why some of the other drops have happened, but specifically on page 10, one of the drops that are described is a drop in sponsorship from $240,000 in 2023 to $125,000 in 2024. Drop in memberships from $142,000 in 2023 to $61,000 in 2024. Is the Minister able to provide any insight on either of those drops or other reasons why the Museum Board income has dropped so dramatically?
Again, I suspect that a large part of that is, I guess, a cost of living issue, less people being able to afford to buy memberships, and potentially corporates also feeling the pressure of increasing costs of doing business. So I suspect that's probably a substantial reflection on that. I do understand that there was also about 384,000 is a reduction in donations of heritage assets, which I understand is obviously not a cash impact, it's just it's obviously reflected in the financial statements, but is actually reflecting a donation of heritage assets that's gone down by 384,000 as well.
Page 7, I think it was, or page 9, the grant income disaggregation. The state government underlying grant, is the Minister able to advise of that recurrent operating grant, that's 10.795 this year, 10.784 last year. Is that what would be described as the state government's base grant to the museum, or is that an aggregate of a number of state government grants to the museum?
So the 10.795 million was the operating grant for the museum for 23-24. Does that answer your question?
I understand the government has announced, I think it was described as a $4 million package of funding to the museum to support its next stages. But specifically to this budget paper, does that $4.1 million announcement include any money that was already expended to support the museum in the 23-24 financial year, but has been included in that government announcement as part of that collection of contributions that added up to $4.1 million?
No, the $4.1 million that's been referred to is all this financial year and future. None of that relates to the 23-24 financial year.
Thank you for that. And in relation to the expenses on page 7, it's a total of $18.441 million and broken down into various aspects. Was any of that expense utilised to support the Premier's review into the museum that concluded a couple of months ago?
No, the Premier's review panel costs were absorbed by DPC. It does not relate to the expenses shown in the museum annual report.